Hey everyone, it's Andrew Brown, and welcome to the Terraform Cloud Project Bootcamp Beginner Edition. We are on to week 3, which is our catch-up week. And you'll notice that I have a special guest here today. And you might also notice that Chris and Shala are not around. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but let's get through our usual slides, and we'll get to the rest of the content here today. So I want to just go ahead and thank our sponsors. I want to go ahead and thank Adrien Cantril, who is a returning sponsor for these Cloud Project Bootcamps. If you are not familiar with Adrien, he produces certification study courses and other courses. He has both paid and free, and he's really well known for the AWS certification study courses. So if you're looking for any of those, he's extremely thorough and always up to date with his AWS certification courses. He has mini projects. So if you're looking for something to utilize Terraform again in a smaller project, there are some there. My recommendations was to utilize the Pet Cuddletron, which is a serverless project. So that would be probably most likely in the free tier. And it would be a really good thing that you could use Terraform for. I want to thank HashiCorp. HashiCorp, without them, we probably wouldn't have been doing a Terraform bootcamp. But HashiCorp is a sponsor, and they're also providing swag for those who complete. So in order to get swag, all you had to be was registered, and you need to complete as much as you can. So obviously the free tier versus the paid tier have a different level of stars. So just do your best in the free tier to complete the stars. And for those, and again, Chris is not here, but if I'm wrong, he'll correct me. But as I understand, the t-shirts where anybody that was registered has a chance to win a t-shirt. Anyone that completes on time, so you need to be submitted by the end of next week. So not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, you'll have a chance to win a voucher. And these are accessible worldwide, asterisk pending, because of course, if there are issues shipping to your country or things like that, it is what it is. But for the most part, this is worldwide. So I would love to have a Terraform shirt. I don't even have a Terraform shirt, and I really want one. But those certification vouchers would be a great follow-up for those who are trying to get that certification. Chris did post a very long study guide on Free Code Camp, which was something we shared in this bootcamp as a good resource. And I do also have a free certification study course, which covers things that we did not cover in this bootcamp. So make sure to look out for those things. HashiConf is coming up here soon. So what is today? October 7th. So in 3 days, HashiConf is going to be in San Francisco and online. So they actually run a really good online conference. I really enjoy it. It's a great opportunity to expand your network and learn up on other technologies like Vault. Vault is something that I think is really worth learning. So we will, I hope to see you there. And I think I'll probably be kicking around at HashiConf online. So maybe we can all hang out. I want to point out that HashiCorp has hugs all around the world. If you have yet to do so, go join a local hug on meetup.com. If there isn't one in your area, that's your opportunity to make your own. And that's something that I do recommend for you. I'd like to thank WeCloud who is a reoccurring sponsor for the Cloud Project Bootcamp. They are a private school, accredited private school in Toronto. And so they run workshops, boot camps, and a variety of other things. As the name implies, cloud and data are the two things that they teach. And they do also have free videos. They have even some on Terraform, as you can see. So definitely try to get another perspective in terms of how to utilize Terraform and Ansible, which is also extremely good pairing with Terraform. A lot of times when you learn infrastructure as code, there's that other layer of configuration management. If and when we do our intermediate IAC or Terraform bootcamp, Ansible would be something that we would pair along with it. And I want to also point out that they do have open courses such as the Python and SQL. So between Adrien, WeCloud and myself, there's a lot of fundamental content that can help you build a really good base of knowledge in cloud. And oh yeah, I always forget that I'm a sponsor. So I'm a sponsor, Exam Pro. I create cloud certification courses, and apparently I run boot camps as well. And I do these all for free somehow. And apparently I can still afford to live in a house, but it's because we layer our free content with paid content on top of it, and I greatly appreciate everyone that does support us by purchasing the optional paid content, which of course you don't have to, but it really does help me out. And so for this one, we have that certification course at www.exampro.co/terraform, and it even has a free practice exam and a bunch of other stuff where you don't even need a credit card to get in. Most boot campers are in the platform, so they probably know how to access it. Just want to remind you that it is there. I want to thank the Cloud Security Podcast. They actually have three videos produced. And actually, while I'm here, Baco's in my ear. Baco, let's make sure those are in the platform, because I'm not sure if they got slotted in. So if there is any lingering homework, they're going to be in week 3. But I do want people to cover the security content as a requirement before the bootcamp wraps up, because security is extremely important. And we did cover security in bits here, but Ashish and Shilpi really do solidify that there. So we appreciate their help here today. So now that we have done our slides, let's get into it here. So I'm just going to bring this one on down. And oh yeah, I was just showing Not's on the stream here today, but Not's all the way down in Toronto, or at least the GTA Greater Toronto area, because Not is from Week-3 Data, because I really wanted to talk a bit more about the sponsor offerings. I always feel that I'm a little bit light on them, but I also just want to talk about how this bootcamp is different from something that is ran by like an accredited private school, and to talk about the resources that you might be unaware of when you go and try to utilize courses from a private school. So we're going to talk about that for a bit. After that, I want to spend time helping building out towns. So that'll be fun. And also, I wanted to point out that I have been seeing people's Terra towns in the platform. Lots of people miss and go. Make sure you start moving those into the correct locations. I think I saw tech ones in the nomad space. So let's make sure that we put them in an appropriate place. But you will probably see me commenting. We can actually write comments on the right-hand side. So I'll be going through here and taking a look at a lot of the Terra towns. And I'm still finishing up my own, so I know that we're going to get some amazing ones next week. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I have this nice diagram here from Week-3 Data. And I just kind of want to talk about, and I think I mentioned this before, that Week-3 Data has an upcoming a cloud engineering bootcamp. What is the date on that? Starts?
So right. Thanks, Andrew. Hi, everyone. So my name is Nat, and I'm the DevOps program manager at Week-3 Data. So what Andrew's mentioning is the cloud engineering course, which is part of the 6-month DevOps bootcamp. So Andrew and I will discuss sort of the how this plays out and the components of this. But the cloud engineering course, which starts alongside with the full 6-month DevOps bootcamp, that starts on Monday, October 16th. And every 3 months, we do have the DevOps bootcamp start again. So there's cohorts running every 3 months. But the individual courses, like I mentioned, Andrew and I will go into a bit more detail, so you have an understanding of where the cloud engineering course fits within the larger DevOps ecosystem here at Cloud.
Yeah. And to terraformers here, I really just want to emphasize what benefits you get out of working with a private school versus this bootcamp. Of course, this bootcamp is designed to be the most cost effective and to help a greater reach, but there are deficits where I'm not able to provide the same level of training. But I want to, for those who do have the ability to, pay for this kind of service, I want to just make sure you're aware of that, so that you have stuff like that. So as far as I understand, this is a 24 weeks. 24 weeks is 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this is a well, technically it's a 12-month boot camp, but it's 6 months of technical training, and then there is a follow-up of 6 months with post-career services. So once you complete the technical training, which is over 6 months, and then you earn whether it's your diploma or certification. This is very dependent on where you are. Then there's this opportunity to work with Week-3 Data, or Week Career in particular, the next 6 months, trying to get your job. Because I know that there are a lot of boot campers that were exceptionally really good last semester, but they struggled really in the career area to land the job. And I just want to make boot campers aware of WeCloud Data's offering here now. For the re-career component, is this something that you have to, like, if you want to just make use of career services, like coming out one of my boot camps, do you have to go take this entire boot camp to get access to that service?
No, you don't have to. So the Week career component is can be standalone as well. Although what we recommend is talking to the program managers. In this case, if it's the DevOps bootcamp, talk to me. And what we do is we help you assess, because sometimes people think that they have enough to go into, say, a real client project, right? But that might not be the case. So what I do recommend is just have a conversation. It's not going to take that long. Just have a conversation with myself, for example, if you're planning to have the career in cloud and DevOps engineering, and you want to take advantage of this career service, but you don't think that it's necessary for you to go through the entire 6-month boot camp or take one of the courses. Then we can have a conversation. Let's just assess where you're at, what kind of background you have. And for example, if they come from your program, Andrew, we already know the content and the curriculum from your program. So maybe that's enough to assess whether just going straight into the career services makes sense, or they can look into the career service in combination with the real client project, which you show here with the Beam Data. So Beam Data is our consulting arm, and this is actually one of the great advantages of joining a program like ours, in that students and alumni do work on real client projects with our consulting arm. So you are interacting with clients like companies and big companies as you're building out your portfolio and your skill set, and then we provide reference checks and things like that. So as you would expect when you're building out your portfolio, and this is a very sort of a very good, I would say, plan and building blocks to round out your portfolio. So definitely, you need the theory and the conceptual understanding, but something that I think most folks understand is that when you try to enter the job market, especially when you start talking to recruiters and hiring managers, they do look for that experience on your portfolio. So this is a really good way to round out your portfolio.
Yeah, and I'd say that's one of the advantages of going with an accredited or private school, because they can have access to either real client projects that the students are actually paid on, or they may have an internal network of places where they already have hiring opportunities. Whereas that's, I think, a deficit that I'm not able really to provide with my boot camps. Of course, I do good technical training, and we do try to provide community group
Mhm.
help in terms of career services. But I'm just trying to highlight for some boot campers that maybe this is something that, for those who are really struggling on this end part, that might help. The other challenge is, like in this boot camp, is that the ratio to instructor to students is very high. So if people are wondering what I'm talking about here, um, when doing this boot camp, we are of course leveraging the community for help. But one of the advantages of working or going through a private school or accredited school is that they'll give you a guarantee or like a condition in terms uh, of the ratio between instructor to student. So the idea is that, imagine, or support person, whichever you want to call it. So for every four students, there'll be one TA or one teacher or one instructor, so that they're going to make sure that there's better accountability for the student, because in this boot camp there's hundreds of people, and we do have office hours and you can show up for them, but we can't hold you accountable to the same degree. We can't validate you in the same degree as a private school. Whereas, Nat here would actually have follow-ups with you and talk to you and assess you on the spot and probe you. It's not that I can't do that. I just can't do it at the scale that we're doing it at. And I just want to make people aware of that, because I did have people come out of the boot camp, the last one, and they went through it, but they couldn't articulate what it was that they're doing. So they were able to do all the work, but they really needed somebody to probe them and to shake their confidence, not like give them a lack of confidence, but test their ability to have confidence in terms of what it is that they know. And that's something that I think a private school can provide. Another thing that a private school can provide is a good, strong pre-assessment. So, like in this boot camp, it's basically open to everybody. But these programs, the cohorts are way smaller, and the pre-assessment is going to make sure that that you are going to have a good outcome, because the whole point of Week Data is they really want to make sure that you get a job. Yes, there's technical training, things like that, but they're very much focused on making sure that when you come into this program, you leave this program and you're successful. And so, the boot camps that we have, like the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp or the Terraform Cloud Project Bootcamp, does provide leverage into these programs so that you are more likely to get accepted into them, which is a lot more detailed. But I just want to point out that another thing is that one of the challenges that with these is, or like that I can't provide, is that in order to provide this kind of support, it's just costs more money. That it's a simple point to that. But the great thing about private schools is that they're able to get different levels of financing for you. So I can't do this, but WeCloud Data, if you're in Canada, they have options like with Windmill. You could get a student loan from BMO. I don't know if it's a line of credit, but it's something like that. If you're international, they can use Gratify. If you need installment payments, they have that. They also have scholarship programs. So some of you might get a sharp discount based on your assessment and your background and things like that. And so that would give you an opportunity into these programs. In terms of who would best benefit from these, I would say that probably people we could say worldwide, but I'm just going to tell you that generally I look at private schools being able to help you based on their locality. So WeCloud Data is located in Toronto, and so the US and Canada market, I think, is a really good fit for a lot of boot campers. If you're interested in this, that doesn't mean that you can't take it from somewhere else, but work culture and requirements is different for where everything is. So maybe if you're thinking about moving to Canada, this, or that's your route, or maybe you're thinking about moving to the US for tech, then this might be your one of the easiest ways for you to understand that work culture and to get relevant skills that are specific for our markets, as opposed to what's different maybe in Europe or the Middle East or different areas, if that makes sense. Do you have any thoughts on that or things to say?
Yeah, sorry, Andrew. I just wanted to build on what you mentioned earlier regarding the support, and also something else about the Beam Data Real Client project. So, can you go back to the support tab on the
Oh, sure, yes.
Lucid app? Yeah. So, when we say that we're going to provide you with a lot of support, we really mean it. So this ratio holds true. Not only that, but there's another reason why I have meetings and conversations with our students, especially the DevOps program students, every single day, actually, is because I'm also the tech lead for Beam Data. So part of my responsibilities and duties is to deploy the correct talent for the correct projects that we need. So by having this relationship with the students and the alumni, where I understand where you're coming from, your background, your skill level, where you're at, and how confident you are in, say, the cloud and DevOps tooling and the tech stack, that allows me to put you in the right projects. So as an example, we had a client project for one of the biggest newspaper companies in Canada regarding using cloud AWS ECS container technologies with Terraform. So that was completed not too long ago. We also have a focus moving forward on large language model projects using cloud and DevOps. So as an example, one of the projects we're collaborating with one of the big four consulting companies in North America. We're starting that in a week or two, is building out a chatbot using large language models, deploying on Azure Kubernetes services, so AKS. in addition to automating the infrastructure build of Terraform. So I'm just highlighting these to help you understand that in addition to the support, there's a great synergy with the real client projects that are part of this whole ecosystem. So that support also bleeds into the real client projects where the people who are supporting you in the education curriculum, such as myself, we're going to be there supporting you when you do the real client projects as well. Because sometimes people think, well, if I'm going to be working with clients, but I'm just starting to build up these skills, it can be a little bit intimidating. It's almost like throwing you into the deep end, right? But the whole point is you have this whole support network and ecosystem there to make sure that you're building out the portfolio correctly and building up your experience and skill sets. In
And
regards to
and
the, oh, sorry, go ahead, Andrew. Yeah.
well, I was going to say, I know that We Career, they would have mentors, and those mentors were from companies that students were getting hired. So they would literally get internal information in terms of like, yeah, this is the hiring practice, this is the skill set that you want to get aligned. So when I say like We Career or We Cloud Data uh, is trying to help you get a job, it's like they know specifically at particular companies because they have had mentors at very specific large and stable companies. If you're kind of wondering what companies we're talking about, it's right on their homepage. You can see it scrolling by. There's big names here. And so that has to just do with making sure or like making sure you find people or mentors that will help connect you either to hiring managers or at least understanding the work culture, because each of these companies have their own things that they're interested in. And so that's just something that I've noticed that I thought We Cloud Data has done really well in the past for student success. Another thing I want to point out
Yeah.
is that if you are in Canada, We Cloud Data is accredited school, meaning they have like a proper, is it what the Toronto Data Science School for, it has like a proper name. I just can't remember what it is, but
Oh, yeah, it's some, yeah, it's even I can't remember. It's like a
I
legal term
forget, but
used.
but
I don't
it's
know.
I always
Yeah.
I joke. I always say it's their Christian name, but it's
Yeah,
but like
exactly.
but
No,
really
no,
it's like
that's
when you
exactly.
when you start working with the government, for education, you have to have a proper name, and
Exactly.
so I'm just saying that the way We Career works is that they are doing things based on like a standard put out by the government. This is not a fly by night um, private school. Um, and I just wanted to kind of point that out, and that I really know We Cloud Data really well. But being in accredited school, like if you're in Canada, they don't issue a certificate. If you're in Canada, they issue an actual diploma. So I just want to make that clear. If you're outside of Canada, then all they can do is issue you a certificate. But I mean, the whole point, or I think the big value that We Career can do or We Cloud Data can do that I can't do is the ability to work on paid projects. Now, I want to point out that you'd only be working on these if you do all your work and you showcase yourself as a capable student. So if you do that, then this is a route that you can take after the boot camp. So hopefully that makes sense there. It might help to talk about the contents of this course. I believe that We Cloud Data is still working the marketing page for it. Is that right?
That's correct. So I should have the updated because we've been making a lot of updates to the information and the catalog. So I should have the most updated version of the website. I'm actually editing that today and over the weekend. I should have that ready for you folks by Tuesday. But feel free to go over to the web page for DevOps. Even now, the content is still there. It's just we're reorganizing where the tools, the tech stack, and each of these units and domains are going to be taught throughout these 6 months. Because, like I said, now we have the three courses that map to the tools and the tech stack of the entire 6 months curriculum. But yeah, so I'll be working with Andrew to get sort of like a summary of what we've been discussing today into, I guess, like a email format, Andrew, that maybe you want to send to your class. if they're trying to get more information about this that we can't fit into, I think we were supposed to go 10 minutes, but now it's already
Oh, it's
25 minutes.
okay. It's
But
not a big deal.
yeah,
But
um,
just to boot campers out here, their 6 months course is broken up across three uh, units. And so they have a section. They have the first part, which is the fundamentals of cloud engineering. Then it's going into CI/CD with microservices, and then you have this cloud native project at the end. It is a bit more DevOps focused, but as I understand that the DevOps program has been reworked to be more cloud engineering. So there will be a new marketing site that is, or an updated marketing site that will have a larger focus on cloud engineering, and there will be tweaks, but a lot of the technology is still here. What's interesting is looking at what tools that they're using. So you can see that there's a bit more of a dive into Linux in the foundational section. You're going to notice similar tools. So Terraform we used in this bootcamp. We have CloudFormation, which we used in our last bootcamp. But notice we have Ansible, Jenkins, Prometheus. Those are very valuable tools in the cloud native space and the automation space. And we're seeing a lot of cloud native tools and more HashiCorp tools. So we got Consul, we got Packer, we got Vagrant, we got Vault, which are really cool things. You might notice that if you're looking at this, think of enterprise, think of large scale companies, because this is what the curriculum looks like. It's using those heavy duty
yeah,
tools, which have agnostic applications, and that's going to give you a lot of flexibility in terms of finding work, as opposed to just saying a single provider, which I think is really interesting. But anyway, when we get updated information for boot campers, we'll share that out. So I know that was a mouthful, but thank you,
mhm.
Nat, for coming on here and sharing the opportunities and things that terraformers can do post boot camp.
Yeah, no, thanks, Andrew, and thanks, Andrew Bako, for inviting me. Really appreciate the 20 minutes or so that we got to discuss this, and hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving weekend if you're in Canada. Great rest of the the course, and yeah, if anyone has any questions once Andrew shares sort of the I guess an email or a summarization of what we've discussed, feel free to reach out to me. I'll provide my contact info in that as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just before we go, there was a couple questions about the U.S. So, do you have offerings for the U.S. region? Does WeCloud Data have strong relationships for U.S. based projects and employment? The companies that you're seeing here from WeCloud Data, they're international companies. They operate
Yeah.
both in Canada, U.S., and so the hiring practices can be very similar. I know that WeCloud Data is working on having a more established presence in the U.S. And I just mean that from, I think, the school side, like whatever the regulations and things like that, to operate in the U.S. But definitely, there is I think students are going to be good for both U.S. and Canada strongly. Nat, do you agree? Or
Yeah, actually, the biggest client project we're working on right now is a US based company. So it's the strength here is definitely in North America, both US and Canada.
yeah. But for those who are outside of those areas, I'm just going to say that you can still benefit from this, but understand that it's not might not be specialized for your area, if that makes sense. But yeah, thank you, Nat, for coming out here on a Saturday. If one Nat is in his car because he has to hide from his three kids, otherwise they would hear off the stream. I have the same issue, but I have this detached shed, so I'm not in my car, which is okay. But I appreciate that. I'll let you get back to your weekend. Enjoy your Canadian Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon. Anyway, so one sponsor down. Let's go take a look at Adrian's stuff. We'll get the stuff here, folks. Okay. And I do have a lot of information, like very specific information about this boot camp, like prices and all that kind of stuff. So if anyone's really interested in this, I can provide that information to them in the Discord. Okay. But anyway, I'm going to close this out, and I would like to take a look at some of Adrian's resources, because I know that he's starting to add more free resources, and I just think they're really, really solid. And there's things that I don't cover that he covers. Adrien has more of like an administration background, DevOpsy background, whereas I'm an application programmer, and so I think that between my content and his content, there's good Um, it goes good together like peanut butter and jelly. I couldn't remember the word I was looking for here, but I know that he has some free stuff. So there's the tech fundamentals, he has James on the platform. So getting started with Microsoft DevOps is good there. There's getting started with Azure on here, and there's the Docker. I really like suggesting the tech fundamentals because my background is not admin slash, like I do DevOps, but not admin. And so he does a really good job covering networking in this one here. And I wanted to take a look here at the Docker fundamentals because most job postings want you to know cloud native, whether you want to or they actually use it or not. Everyone has cloud native on the horizon because they're always worried about lock-in or things like that. So I would strongly consider taking a look there. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, I think that we've done a good job covering sponsors here. And so what I want to do this week is I want to make my Terra Towns page a lot nicer. Before we do, I just want to talk about a few things about grading. So in week 2, at the bottom here, we have homework submission. This is actually the final submission form if we go into it. And when you fill out this form, we want you to place in your GitHub repository tags. Pay attention to the format that we're looking for. It has to be in this format. Of course, not my name, your name there instead. If you go down below, I've added this box called considerations and accommodations for boot campers or terraformers here that when you are submitting your work, this is only for graded folks, but when you're submitting your work and let's say, oh, I put my documentation over here instead of there, my tagging was a little bit off. I'm late because I had some other obligation, but et cetera, et cetera. If you can put that information in there for me, it really does help. We do review all the grading manually. I mean, some of it is streamlined with obviously validators and things like that, but we still go over and glance over all the work. So you just understand that, and we want to make sure things are in good order. So hopefully that is clear. The most important one is your Terra Towns home URL. So you really want to have that link here. And make sure that you submit this with all the stuff. If you need to, you can save it for later. Grading is supposed to be in by next Saturday if you want to be entered in for the Terraform voucher, okay? Yeah, I want to see a submission here, and more or less all the videos should be done. We have talked about having a 100% star completion, but the platform is not flexible enough to omit some of the stars. So I think we're going to have to be flexible there and make sure that we're say, well, if it's good enough, like the majority is complete and your submissions are there when we look at it, then I think that will be okay. All right. So hopefully that is clear about grading. Of course, we can talk about that in the Q&A after class if there's any kind of confusion. You can submit late, but you just won't have that opportunity to get those vouchers, as we expect some folks will be weeks before they can submit. And of course, fill in the accommodations as soon as you can if that is the case for you. There will be an outbound survey. I think we just have to fill that out. Would greatly appreciate that you fill that out so that we can better improve these boot camps. This format was different from the last one in terms of the process and everything else. If you've attended both, would like to know if you like the stuff that we did in this one. If there's stuff that you liked in the old one that was missing, I'd like to collect that information as best as we can. But we do have to make that survey, and that one will get released to you soon. Office hours from yesterday should be up today, or might be already up, as Baco's probably been working on it in the background here. But let's go and do some work. So what I want to do here, when are you having the next boot camp? It would be really nice to have one before the end of the year. I would love to do an AWS beginner boot camp. That way I would be setting up for because I want to do a phase 2 of the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp, the really big one. But I found that I really need a beginner one so I can take some of the content out of there and just make it more manageable so that I can put even more advanced content there. And I miss Shala and Chris as well. So Chris, I believe, is in Disneyland or Disney World. I always get them mixed up. And Shala is on vacation as well, but somewhere else, maybe California. So yeah, it's just how it goes. But I'm okay, right? You like hanging out with me. What is the deadline for the week 2 assignment? Well, you should submit week 2. Well, sorry. So next week. So because in this one here, we have that Terratowns URL link. And so not this Saturday, but next Saturday is it has to be in if you want to be entered in for the Terraform voucher. And I think that we would probably be drawing them the week after. Okay, so next week they have to be due, and we need like a week to just get through grading. Okay, so we're looking 2 weeks out to find out who's going to get those. And as far as I understand, they are just codes, so they'll get issued out through the vendoring system when we choose the people that win. And again, it's by random, so it's nice and fair. If you get a code and you win and you don't need it, you can contact us so that we can redistribute it, or you can give it to a friend. It's up to you. Once you get that code, it's yours to do with what you like. Okay. But anyway, what I want to do in this video is I want to go ahead and improve my Terra Towns because I didn't make a very nice looking town. And I thought this is a great opportunity to play around with ChatGPT and see what it can do to help us build a site and show you some HTML, CSS skills because it can't hurt to learn how to make things look really nice. Can we get I couldn't register for the paid class on this bootcamp. Can I get the voucher after completion? Vouchers, anyone that completes this bootcamp in free or paid tier on time is going to get entered into it. So if you're in the free tier, it's based on stars. So make sure all your star count is in. For the paid tier, you have to be submitted and have your stars in. So yeah, just make sure that you have that stuff in place. But anyway, well, I guess I could ask Bako this. Bako, do you think we could? What do you think about if we opened up the so they could put a Terra Towns link for the free tier? What do you think about that? Okay, so I talked to Bako, and I think what we'll do, just so that there's less confusion, is that it won't necessarily be grading, but if you're in the free tier, we'll let you submit your Terra Towns URL, and that way we'll determine who's actually completed or not. Okay, but just understand that just because you have it doesn't mean you're getting graded. It just means that you're entered for the draw. So we'll clarify that in the announcements either today or tomorrow. It is a Thanksgiving weekend here, but we'll make sure that's very clear for folks and people have that opportunity to submit. So I'm over here in Gitpod, and I took a bunch of screenshots because I made my own payday bars, and I would say that they almost turned out like it was almost the perfect bar. It was just that the peanuts I bought were too salty. I should have got unsalted peanuts. But I have all these graphics, and I want to see what we can use ChatGPT to make better sites because I've seen people draw their layouts and upload the images, and ChatGPT will create it. And I think that'd be really cool. So what I want to do here is I want to make sure that we're serving up this page. And by the way, this is just watch and learn live stream because if you want to follow along, it'd be hard because you have to do it on your own one. But you can play around here with me, and we'll see how this goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom up here, and I want to make my way over to our index HTML page. I want to look at my ports, and I want to see if we're serving 8080. So 8080 is where we are serving the HTTP server. That's that the turtle with the rocket on it, the V8 rocket. That's the service that's running there, and it has 2 folders here. We'll go into Payday. It's not showing any images, and the reason why is that I think that this can only serve one at a time. So I'm going to go here to HTTP server. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to type in clear, and I want to go ahead. And I see many familiar names for the AWS Bootcamp, and it's good. It's great that we're having repeating bootcampers. That's what I really want of these bootcamps is to try to stick to the same domain or sorry projects so that we have more people leveraging their existing domain knowledge on previous projects. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in HTTP serve, but I want to just specify the folder. So I'm going to say public, and we'll do Payday. Okay, and so that's going to open up port 8080. I'll open this up again, and I'm going to go back here to this. I think it should serve it now. There we go. So now it is serving the pages. And this is not a very impressive page. So how can we make this page better if we are not really good at HTML and CSS? Well, the answer is ChatGPT. And I would love to use Bedrock, but I think Bedrock probably is a paid service. So it's a chat with images, and that's exactly what I want to do here today. But yeah, I'm not sure if Bedrock does images. Same thing with Google. It seems like ChatGPT is kind of beating them out in terms of this functionality. Um, so I'm just going to stick with ChatGPT here. But I want to go ahead and design my payday page. And I'm going to go over to Lucid Charts. You could use any program. I'm just using Lucid Charts here. I'm going to just pull this up off screen here. I'm going to go into Terratowns. And I'm just making a new document. I'm just don't want to show all my stuff. So I just want to create this quickly here. And I'll drag this back up. And I'm going to put in payday page design. Okay, and so the idea is that I want to design a website, and I'm going to pull out a regular box here. I'm going to take the rounding off of it. And I want to see what ChatGPT can do. So let's imagine this is our site. And then I want to lay out some content. So I'm going to go here, and I want to have a table of contents over here. Again, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm just going to try it and see what happens. I have table of contents. And we'll put it over here. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to have a heading. So say heading. I'm going to say description. And then what we'll do is we'll do our sections. So say step 1. And then I'll go here. We'll say image. And then image. And I have no idea if this is going to work, but it's going to be very interesting to see if it does. So we'll go here. This one might have only 1. And so that's kind of the idea of the layout that I'm looking for. Now, not in terms of aesthetic, but at least layout. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to take a screenshot. I don't know if people can see, but I did Control-Shift-S, and that copies it into my clipboard. And what I'm going to do is go back over to ChatGPT. I'm going to click this Attach Images. I've never, ever used this before. And it looks like I need to get a file from my computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Paint, because I guess I have to save it locally. I'm going to paste in this image. You go ahead and say Save As. And I'm just going to save this here on my desktop. So I'll just say Layout, Website Layout. And let's go back to ChatGPT and see if it can do it. So I'm looking for this one here. And I'm going to say, create an HTML website based on the layout of this image. And let's see if it can do it. Because I think that'd be really cool. And we'll wait a moment here, and we'll see what it generates out. I wish we could go to another tab while it's generating, but unfortunately, it will stop if you tab over to something else. And I'm asking Chris that he has to go make a Disneyland or Disney World Terratowns page, but we'll see. And it is using Flex, which is perfect. So there are different ways of laying out websites. The original way was tables back in the day in the early 2000s. Then floats came about. Then Flex came about. And now we have grid. Flex is probably the easiest and a recommended way I would utilize to make a website. But it is taking its time. I think what I would have probably told it is say produce the HTML, then produce the CSS. because it is going really slow here. But so far, the markup is really good. Instead of using the div class step, I would probably instead use sections. I didn't even know there was an aside tag. That's kind of interesting. So that looks kind of okay. It's not like the best, but I'm going to go ahead and copy that. We're going to play around here very quickly. And I'll show you where I get some of my fun graphics when I'm trying to make things look really fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste this in here. It's really not the best code, but it's interesting that it could do that. Okay. And yeah, it didn't really do a whole lot. So I don't know. You could play around with it a bit more, but I think I'm just going to use this from scratch, and then we'll just put graphics in here. So I'm going to just take out these here. I'm going to go back over here. And the first thing I want to do, does this stop running? Where'd it go? Not found. You're right here. Oh, come on. You are found. Try this again. Back to this page here. Payday. Did we delete something out? What's going on here? Thank you, Mariachi. I always forget to tell people to do that. But yeah, right now it's weird. It's not serving up the HTML page, and it really should be. And I don't know why it's so darn finicky. So usually you just say what folder it's in. I'm going to try doing a relative path here and see if that helps it at all. I'm going to open this. I mean to do the browser. There we go. So that's opening up. Good. I'll go back here. And I have no idea why it refuses. Refuses to open. I'll try it from here. What the heck? It really is a pain. Payday / payday. I just wanted to get the subfolder. We'll go over and we'll look up its documentation. npm HTTP server. Yeah, and that's the thing with ChatGPT. It doesn't generate when you have other tabs open, which is kind of frustrating. Well, it's okay. If you're only done week 1, there's still time to catch up. So what I'm looking for here is the option. So it says HTTP server and then path. So defaults to period / public if the folder exists and otherwise period. So that's what we did. We told it to go into the payday directory. I'm going to take off the / and see if that helps. Maybe it's a caching issue. I'm going to open up Inspector here. Sometimes that helps. If you go to the network tab, there's a disable cache button. Sometimes, there we go. It's just a caching issue. That's why it wasn't showing up. And so what I want to do here is I want to make this page a lot nicer. And I have some ideas. Like one thing is I'd like to have a payday bar that runs down the side of the page. So what we can do is I already have a photo of a payday bar. I'm going to open that up in Photoshop. Now you might not have Photoshop, and that's totally okay. I mean, I could do this in Paint as well. I'll use something that everybody has. We'll use Paint here today. And so I'm going to open this image up here and drag it in. And so I have this giant payday bar. It's way too large. So I'm going to resize it. I'm going to say 25 and 25. Now, I don't normally use Paint, but we're not for a long time, but I should be able to make my way through it here. And so that's looking good. I want to select the contents around it. I'm not sure if they have anything like that. Select. They have this free selection tool. So yeah, I could use that maybe. Let's see here. If we do this, yeah, that deletes it out. Would that make it a transparent background? I don't know, but I'm going to go here. I'm going to do my best to cut this out. Okay. And I'm going to go all the way up like this and around. There we go. And just cut that out. You know what we need is we need like a image service that will take an image and make it 3D and then make it animate like those old GeoCity ones. I think that'd be really cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out, my bar. And we'll go here. Okay, and I'm just going to just clean this up a little bit better. Whoops. And so now I have my bar. This is still too large. So what I'm going to do is I want to first copy this bar, or just, I guess, go here and say resize. And we're going to go 50-50. So that bar is a lot smaller now. And so the next thing I want to do is I just want to go ahead and move this bar up. So I'll just select everything and move it up. And then I'm going to drag the canvas. So it's like this. And so I think that's better. It still looks really, really large. So I'm going to resize it again. And I'm going to say 50. There we go. And that looks a lot better. And so the next thing I want to do is no, I think I'll leave that like that. So I'll go ahead and save this. I'll just say payday bar. And we'll save this to our desktop. I'm going to make our way back over to the index.html page. Very curious to see what people are going to be building. I actually like when people show their local food because I think that is very interesting. It encourages me to cook recipes nearby. So if you do live somewhere interesting and you have some local cuisine, would love to see it there. But I'm going to bring up that payday icon in here. So I'm just looking at my desktop for that bar, and I'm dragging into my assets here on the left-hand side. And so now we have a bar. So what I want to do is I want to get this bar to show up down the sides here. I think that would be kind of interesting. And I mean, we could have made it PNG, but my background's white anyway. And that's kind of the look of a Thai food's really good. I love Thai food. There is a place in Toronto called the Golden Thai, closed down in 2020. Best Thai food I've ever had in my life. It's so good. Probably there's better food in Thailand, but it was the best that I ever had. So anyway, so what I'll do is I want to create two runners. I'm calling them runners because we're going to run payday bars down the side of it. We're going to make a new class here, and I'm just going to say payday runner. Okay. And I did this for years, making websites for people. So all this stuff is good in my memory. A lot of web designers like to use hyphens when they name their class name. So when they double click, they can just select the name like that. I'm going to do that too for fun. But generally everywhere else, I will do underscore stuff. So in here, we have our assets or our style sheets. Our style sheets would be, where would we put that? I guess we could just put it up in line. We can make it a file and upload it. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to, all of our styling will just be in here and it'll make our lives a lot easier. So I'm going to go here and just say payday runner. You're not getting graded on your HTML skills, but again, I just like to show people how to make good looking pages. And I think that if you can invest a little bit of time, it allows us to all network a bit better and learn a bit about each other and have a good time. But yeah, so I have this payday runner here, and I want to say background. I want to specify the image, and I think like if I did a fundamentals like with the Git and the Vim and all those other stuff, I'd probably do an introduction to HTML and CSS. Not that it's that hard, but it's a skill that I think is worth learning. I'll go here, and I want to specify payday bar. And yeah, it's fair enough. Just always good to ask. And so this is on 4 spaces. Down below here, you really want, I'm clicking the spaces 4 down here. It's really good practice to use two tab soft space spacing for programming, just because a lot of languages have settled on that, and some will not even work if you don't set them on 2. Some people like using 4, some crazy people like using 8 tabs, but 2 is pretty standard these days. Soft tabs being preferred over hard tabs. Hard tabs break some programs. Anyway, so we have that in there, and by default, it will repeat, and that repeating effect is what I want because that makes for a very interesting looking old style site. I'm going to give it a width of 200 pixels. I don't know if that's how wide we need it to be. I'm going to tell it to, I want it to stretch for the entire length of the page. I want this to be in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a main tag. So main tag is a new HTML5 tag that, well, it's not new anymore, but it's newer. And that's usually what you want to contain all your stuff in. So I always put a main tag in no matter what. We'll go up here and just say main. And what I want to do is make main relative. So if we make its display as relative, then we can have absolutes and we can have some fun ordering here. So we'll say display relative. Okay. And so now for the payday runner, I can tell it to have a width of 200 and give it a height of 100%. I want to give it a position of absolute. And actually, I didn't want to say display relative. I wanted to say position relative. I'm going to give this a Z index of 1. And we are going to give it a position of top 0 and a position of left 0. Said the crazy people. I feel like I'm missing something here. But anyway, so that's going to place this box, this runner here up in the top left corner. And I want to run down the side. So let's see what happens when we do this. Yeah, and so it's starting to work. Now notice it's cutting off here. If I go and grab my inspector tool up here in the top left corner, and I hover over here, I can play around with the HTML to get it to work the way I want it to work. By the way, if you're not familiar with HTML and CSS, I'm pretty sure that FreeCodeCamp has a course on this. Go down here. And these are all open courses, and if you complete them, you get a certification. And they have one here for, I think, HTML and CSS somewhere. Front end, probably this. Yeah, they're using Bootstrap. jQuery is a bit outdated, but it's somewhere in here. But anyway, I'll go back over here. And so I want this to go all the way down the page. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at main. And so main is position relative. Notice there's a body in HTML, and there's this natural weird spacing up here. So normally what you want to do is you always want to reset HTML and body at the start when you're ever doing stuff. So I go HTML body, and I always do a few things. I always explicitly set its background color. RGB, 255, 255, 255. That's white, by the way. I'll put a semicolon on the end there. And I want to give it a height of 100% and a width of 100%. And I want to set the padding to 0. And I want to set the margin to 0. And, you know, there are frameworks out there like Bootstrap, right, that will help you make components and stuff like that. A lot of people that are not good at design, like writing HTML and CSS by hand or find it tedious, like to use frameworks like this. Of course, I've been doing this before any of these frameworks work, so I'm just used to writing it by hand. It's just based on what your team likes to use. So we'll go back here and give this a refresh. And now notice that the spacing is a little bit better. There is this weird space at the top here because of H1. H1 by default has margin on it, margin top and bottom. When you click these elements, you can see the margin, the border, the padding, its dimensions. So I'm going to go here and go into H1, and I'm going to just take off the margin. And what we're really basically doing is we're just resetting the elements to how we want them to work so they're consistent in all the other libraries. There's a name for that where you can normalize or reset everything. I just don't remember what it's called anymore. Like resetting sane defaults for CSS. Normalize, that's the word I'm looking for. So normalize CSS. So there are things out there, and the idea is that when you add this CSS file or another kind of normalized file, it will set the base of it, and that's something you can do. I don't do that because, again, I've just been working with CSS HTML forever, and I just know exactly what I want. We put an asterisk up here. This will actually select every single element and apply to it. And I want to put on a special one here called border box. Or it's box sizing. Sorry, box sizing. Border box. What was border box? Border box, border sizing. Or box sizing, border box. And what that does is that if you put a width of a 200, you have a width of a 200. And this is really useful because then you don't have to compensate for padding or margin. One is the folks at Hyman, where is the homework assignment for folks on the free tier. Everything's on the Exam Pro platform, and the only thing, if you're in the free tier, we just mentioned that in this live stream, is that we'll want you to submit a URL there. And yeah, Bako, just tell me. I'm just talking to Bako. Bako, just tell me if we get that link in there for the free tier people for submission. Okay. Anyway, so coming back over here, I have that box sizing, and so I'll go back, and we're starting to normalize our page. Now, notice that the that absolute is working, so it is now there. I want to push it to the back, so there's a trick that I can do called -1, and it should push it behind all the other elements. Now it's actually just invisible, so I'll go here and put the 1 back on here. And what I want to do is I want to wrap all my main content, all my other content in another div. I'm going to call this one content. Or what we could do is we could just use an article tag. Articles for when you have articles, but I like to use it for content. When I can, I try to use these unique tags because it just saves down on the verboseness of HTML. But we'll go ahead and save this here. I'm going to go and make a new tag here. Is the homework assigned before Saturday, live stream, or after? Well, I mean, the homework for week 1 or last week was due today, right? So it's always the homework from the last week, right? But again, we're quite flexible in terms of the timing of it. I've said this a few times that if for whatever reason, or I would just say that we're just monitoring students, and if everyone generally gets them in on time, it's good enough. If we find that we have a serious issue where a lot of boot campers are taking advantage of the flexibility of submissions, we're going to be a lot more strict about it, if that makes sense. And yeah, they pointed that out, or I think Baco's pointing that out. But if you're signed up and registered on the platform, you can submit them. Well, I know it's your comment, Baco. Baco's telling me it is his comment. I know it is. Are you allowing us to add blog posts into GitHub? Again, I would really prefer if they're in GitHub, because if I have to go to external sites, it becomes very tedious. It's great if you are blogging about it, as long as you made it for this bootcamp and it's relative, that's fine. But I really, if it's older stuff that you're trying to shove in there, that's not going to work. If I can't access it because you put it on something like Medium, and Medium has a paywall and I can't see it, that might be an issue. But do your best to put it in GitHub, because the goal was to get folks here good practice with Markdown, and that's something that I want to see. And yeah, exactly. If you were sick, or you were traveling, or you had other business obligations, or work obligations, or personal obligations, you'll have considerations and accommodations to fill in. As I understand that people are doing more than one thing. It's not like they're full time just doing this bootcamp. So we'll go here, and I have this article, and I want to give it a position of relative. And I'm going to say this is going to be Z index 2. And that way it's going to lift it up from our banners. And so if I go back here and refresh, and I go and take a look at our elements, we can inspect them, see what's going on. So our main is still not going down to the bottom of the page. That's because I didn't give it a height of 100% and a width of 100%. And we'll go ahead and do that first. So now notice the payday bar is going all the way down the page. I would like my bar smaller than this. I still think that that's not small enough. So I'm going to go back over to Paint. Where'd you go, Paint? Here we are. And by the way, Macs don't have a Paint program. Is this bar the same size? Look at this. Yeah, it is. I guess so. I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to resize this again. I'll bring it down to 50. I'm going to go and save this as payday bar. We'll save that there. Yeah, and I was sick, and Bako was sick at the same time. Was it like a week and a half ago? And that's when I was like ready to faint on stream. It was some very unusual sickness that was going around, but hopefully not too people are getting sick. But it is getting colder now, so that's understandable. But I want to drag in that updated payday bar, that smaller one here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that into our assets, replace that. We'll go and wait for that to upload. Looks good. Refresh. And now the bar is smaller. Notice that it is repeating on both the X and the Y. I can go and fix that. We can go ahead and Scroll down here, and I'm just going to say background repeat on Y. Y should be this axis, up and down, whereas X is usually left and right. So we'll go ahead and save this, go back, refresh, and notice that my bar is there. It is a little bit busy. I think that we could fix that by giving it a bit of space on the top and bottom of it. So I'm going to go back and pull this up, and we'll pull this down just a little bit, and I'll just move the bar down a little bit here. And I think that that might help with it, because it looks a little bit busy. In fact, what might be fun, I'm going to try this. I'm going to copy one, and I'm going to paste another one in here. Whoops. Zoom in if I can. Can I zoom in here? Not sure how to zoom in on this view. Oh, there we go. Zoom in. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully copy this and bring this up a bit. And I'm going to paste it down, the second copy. I'm going to see if I can just rotate it. Can I rotate it a little bit? How do we rotate? Just a tiny smidge. Rotate. Just a little rotate. I guess we click rotate. Yes. You sure about that, Bako? Bako was saying that if I click this button and I rotate it, it should work. But I also want to edit in Paint 3D. I don't know what Paint 3D is. Yeah, we'll save it. I've never used Paint 3D. I think it's on all Windows 10. Whoa, look at this thing. Even fancier. And I have Photoshop. I'm just used to using this stuff here, but we'll zoom in here. And can I select this content here? Yes. How do I rotate? So it doesn't look like... Ooh, this looks cool. 3D shapes. Whoa, 3D shapes. But yeah, this is not exactly doing what I wanted. So I'm going to say don't save there. And I was just hoping that I could take one and tilt it a little bit. You know what we could do? We could probably do it in Paint. Or sorry, what do you call it? PowerPoint. PowerPoint is such a powerful editing software. It's so great. And so what I'll do is I'll just open up a blank presentation here. And I'll just bring back in my bar. So I'm just going to undo this until my bar is a bit bigger. There we go. And I'll paste it into PowerPoint. And now I can rotate it. There we go. I'm cheating. We'll go here. There's an anchor to rotate. Is there? Select all. Yeah, I don't see it. If it's in there, I sure don't know. But in PowerPoint, it's a lot easier when you select it. It's not coming up for me. I'm trying. So I'll just do it in here. And so this one actually has really do that. Because I think that'd be kind of fun if we did this. And then we tilted it the other way here. That. Got to be a little bit creative here. One on straight like that. Then that. And so then what I can do is just take this and then shrink it a little bit. And so now I'm getting more of a feel of what I want this to be. Like that. And then we'll take a screenshot like this. I can just go back over to Paint. And I'll just clear this out. And paste this in here. And then we can just zoom out here. Zoom out. And then I'll just change this as such. In Paint 3D. Oh, okay. Yeah, again, I haven't used Paint 3D too much, so it looks interesting, but nothing I've done much with here. So I'll go ahead and I'll save this again. And then what we'll do is I'll drag this back into here. So I'm just doing that off screen into our payday bar here. And we'll replace this. And we'll go back and take a look now. So I think that's a little bit more interesting. I want to have two of these runners. I want one to be on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So I'm going to repeat these. And I'm going to go over here. It's the same page. We already have two. And so I want one on the left. And I want one on the right. Okay. And so I'll go back over to my CSS, which is just up on the page. It's the same page splitted. And so I'm going to go down below here, and I'm going to have one that's left. I'm going to have one that is right. And the only difference is that this will be left, and then this one will be right. So if I save this, I'm hoping that it will run down on both sides. It does. Notice that it's going to hug the sides. There's a weird gap here on the right-hand side. We'll figure out why that is in a second. But notice here, it moves with the page. Cool, eh? We're going to go ahead and inspect. I don't understand why there's a gap on the left-hand side. So I'm going to inspect it. It's because this is too large. The actual size of this is 200 pixels. I think we made it. So if I go here to computed, yeah, we can see this is 200. So what is the actual width of this? I don't know. But what I can do is I can just change the size here in the page, and I'll just shrink it until it fits to the right size and see if it cuts off. So that should be about 112 pixels. I'll go back to my code here, and we'll change this to be 112. 112 pixels. And I'll go back here and give this a refresh. That's now hugging. I would like them to be a little bit away from the sides. So what I'm going to do here is just say 12 pixels, 12 pixels. I usually do things in 12s or 16s. I don't know why, but I just think those make good numbers for spacing. And I'll give this a refresh here. This one pulled from the side. This one didn't. I don't know why. Oh, sorry, that's from the top. So this should be 0. Okay, and then we'll go down below here. This one, and we'll say 12 pixels, and we'll go back. And that's looking a little bit better. I'm going to double up these values here. And so now the spacing is coming in a little bit better. I want the content to appear in the middle here. So also another thing is that I'm not sure if I want the opacity of this to be 100% because it's kind of a bit distracting. So I might go here and say opacity and just make it 0.5. Opacity. Go ahead and save that, refresh. And so this is a little bit lighter. It's a little bit out of the way. We still have our nice payday bars. So the next thing is I want this middle content area, right? So I want this stuff to be generally in the center. And so I'm going to make a decision that I want this page to be of a particular size, or yeah, I want the area to be flexible. So what I need to do is I need to get this content side, and I want to give it padding of the left here of this size and padding of the right-hand side, and I think that will fix it. So we'll go back over to here, and we'll go to our article because that is our main area. And I'm going to give it padding left. Ooh, it was 112, the other one. So 112 plus, if we're using Sass, we could add it like this, but we can't because we're just using regular CSS. So we want this to be 112 plus 24. This is 36 is what we want here. And then on the right, we're going to want this. Now that should place that center. I think I'd like to bring that in a little bit more. And actually, I think I want a border on both sides. So I want to say border solid, and I want to use a payday color. I'm not sure how we could get the inspector here and get that color. Let's see if I can do that here. I'm going to go back to Paint for a moment. Let's go back to Paint. Come on, Paint. Here we are. And what I want to do is I want to grab this orange and blue color. So in here, there's an eyedropper, and that will tell us what color this is. And I can click into this color here, maybe double click it. I want to get the color, edit colors, here it is. So this one is 189, 65, 27, 189, 65, 27. So I'll say 189, 25, 67, I think that's what it was. And so I'll just say here, RGB. What I like is it'll actually show you the color here. I don't know if that's correct. That looks a bit off to me. We'll go back over here. 180. 189, 65. 189, 65, 27. A little bit of dyslexia there, so not too bad. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a border left. Go back, refresh this. And I don't see the line. I'm going to add like an 8 on this. I think it might be because it's right against the wall here. It is. So notice it's over here on the left-hand side. I want it on this other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the padding to margin. I think that might work. Let's see. There we go. That's good. And then I can give this a padding of 24 pixels all around. Good. I'm liking that a lot better. I want to bring the margin in a little bit more, so I'll just add in 480, so 12 onto that. There we go. And we'll refresh this. So now I have this nice vertical bar here. I want to grab that other blue. So what I'll do is I'll go over here and grab the blue. And to get that, we'll go to Edit Colors. This is 762.203, 762.203, 762.203. Border, right, solid, 8 pixels. And I have to put semicolons on the end there. And we'll go back. And now I have the red on the left side and the right blue on the right side. I want to bring this down all the way to the page. So this article area here, it's relative, but it needs to grow the full length here. And so this is where I want to use Flex, because Flex is really great. If you're ever trying to figure out how to do anything with Flex, you just type in Flex CSS. And there's this really nice page on CSS tricks that tell you how all these properties work. So Flex is the first thing we want to do. I'm going to set that on my main and say display flex. And I want to set its flex direction to be column. Flex direction column. You can see that over here. Flex direction. Where do you want it to be? This way, that way, down, left. That's the way I want it to go, is I want it to go downwards. And so now all the items inside of it are flex items. I'm not sure why this is not highlighting correctly. Maybe we need a semicolon here. And so the main is set, and I want this article to grow to full size. I'm going to say flex grow 1. And so now to go down to the full page. I don't want to put a 100% height on that, because if I did that, we would get scroll bars here and it wouldn't work exactly how we want it to work. So this is starting to look like something. I'm not really sure if I like the lines on the inside. I might prefer them on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to change this back to padding. And I'm going to get rid of this here. I'm going to say padding top 24 and then bottom 24. And I'm going to actually put these on the left and right instead. They're fine. I like that we have them there, but I'd rather have them on the outside. And you can see that I'm just missing a semicolon and a semicolon here. We'll go back over here. And so this page is starting to look a little bit better. I want to bring in these a little bit more. So I'm just going to go here and say 20 and 20. And I want maybe 16 actually. It's really just about fiddling with these numbers and trying to get it to look the way you want it to look. And I think that looks okay. I might want to bring in the lines a bit more and just say 12 and 12. There we go. We'll go back over here. So that looks like something. The next thing is I want to have a nice title in here. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go into, this is fine. We'll get that's an H1. So I want to make this larger. I'll go up here and I'm going to say making my own, or the healthy payday alternative. I'm going to go ahead and grab this as well. And I'm going to go down and to this area here. We'll paste this in. Refresh. And so I want to make this text a lot larger. So what we'll do is go back to our CSS. And that's an H1. So I'll go here and I'll just say font size 40 pixels. And we might want to choose a nicer font than this. There's probably a good ideal font for that. I'm just trying to think what kind of font that would be. So let's just look up popular web font defaults. And I just want to use a font that doesn't require any embedding. Web-safe fonts is what we call them. So these are our usual web-safe fonts. Fantasy looks kind of interesting. I didn't know that was an option. And here is a more exhaustive list of things. But Impact probably, I think, matches the font that I'm actually looking for here. So I'm going to go back and say font family to be Impact, because that should be on everything. Notice that it auto-completes to other ones that are similar, which is really nice. The idea is that if it doesn't find this font, it will go to the next one, to the next one. But that's what I'm putting in here. And so that kind of feels like a payday font to me. So I kind of like that. We could probably make the text orange just like the one there. We already grabbed the color down here below. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this here and copy it. And we'll go up to the H1 and we'll go ahead and paste it on in here. And we'll put in that color. And so there's that text. This looks like it has a white outline. So we could probably emulate that. Well, it has a blue one as well. But we could do that with a font shadow. So we could just say font shadow. And it's usually something like 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel RGB. I'll just put 000 here and see if that works. Font shadow. Doesn't like that for some reason. Unknown property font shadow. Font shadow. CSS. Is that not what it's called? Text shadow. There we go. Sometimes it's font, sometimes it's text. And we'll go ahead and write that in there, and we'll go back, give it a refresh. And I don't see anything, but usually with shadows, a great thing you can do is you can just play around with them in here till you get the way you like. So notice it's not actually completing correctly. I clearly entered it not incorrect. So I just want to find an example of the text shadow. I must be missing something. 2, 2, 0. So I put 3 values in here. I'm thinking of box shadowing. So I'll go ahead and go back. And now can I fiddle with it? Still can't. Why not? Go back over here. Text shadow, 2 pixels, 2 pixels, something. Interesting. So we will flip back over to, come on, Gitpod. There we go. Here. Oh, there we go. There's a colon on the end there. That's probably the reason why. And you're starting to see that shadow there. So we can just click this button and we can make it a bit larger if we want. So we can do this. I actually kind of really want a border. Text border CSS. Let's see if we can do that. Font border. Is that possible? And yeah, so here's an example of one. I'm going to copy that, see if it works. I knew it used text shadow. What it's doing here is notice that it's repeating values more than once. So I think that's for like top, bottom, left, right is what it's doing there. Whenever you see like 4 values, that's usually what it is. And so that's starting to look like a border. It's not a very thick border, but we can try to increase it. So I'll say 4, 4, 4, and 4 and see if that makes any difference here. Flip back, refresh. Doesn't look too good, does it? Is there any way to do CSS borders? I mean, those look really good. This says, here's a CSS mixin. So what I want to do is I'll say, I want to have a, whoops, we'll log back in here. Let's see if ChatGPT can help us. I don't know why it logged me out. Let me back in, ChatGPT. Provide me a, or CSS that will create a 8-pixel border for a font. See if it can do it. on the font. I created an 8-border font around the font. Yeah, but that's just not a box border but a text border. I don't think it understands. No, it doesn't understand. Thanks, ChatGPT. You're super useful. Um, Going down here. What the heck is going on here? So I'm going to copy this. I'm very curious what's going on here. And let's just try this for fun. If we can't get the border, we can just move on from this. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm just curious. I mean, that does give a nice clean border. It's not exactly what I was looking for, though. This looks a little bit insane. Well, whatever. It's what I got. It's just what we have. So we'll just work with that. I'm just going to move these forward here. Okay. And I still want the font to be a bit larger. I'm going to say text align center, text align center, and I'm going to bump this up a bit more to 80. And that looks a little bit better, maybe 70 here. We can give it a line height to change the spacing between the text. So if I do 1 EM, that should really bring them up a lot closer together. So we have that there. And I mean, we have that. And I guess the next part would be the sections that we want to have. So what I'm going to do here is go down below and create my sections. That is another very useful HTML5 tag that I like to use. And for each of these, we'll have a heading. I'll just say original goal. So, you know, I really like eating payday bars. I don't like that they make me fat. Let's see if we can make our own copycat payday bar that is more healthy. And there were payday bars online, but I didn't follow the recipe exactly the same way. So go back over here and refresh. So we have this one here. I want to maybe give these like their own border. So I'll go back over here and I'm just putting anywhere in the CSS up here like this section. And I'm going to go here and I'm just going to give it a border. Solid. Per pixels RGB 0000 like this. And we'll go back and we'll give this a refresh. So let's say padding 8 pixels. Go back over here, give this a refresh. And so that's starting to kind of make that area for us. If we want to round corners, we can do that too. We can do border radius 8 pixels. I'll go back over here. So that's starting to look like something. Not a big fan of this font. The font is really too small. I'm going to go to the P tag because it's always going to be in P tags when we do font here. I'm going to bump this up. Font 16 is generally the recommended practice for making readable font. At least it was back in the day. But we'll take a look here and see what that looks like. It's suggesting that it might already be font size 16. So we'll go up to 18 here. Oh yeah, 16 is way too small. I'm thinking back when monitors used to be 800 by 600. So I'm going to keep going a bit larger here. I want this to look interesting. I think that it would look a lot better if we used Comic Sans font. So I'm going to do that. There's this joke that I always use Comic Sans and everything. And Adrien, who makes the IDO certifications, he's always ribbing me for using Comic Sans. Comic Sans. It really doesn't want to let me do Comic Sans here, by the way. So I'll just say font family Comic Sans. It's not letting me find it. This is what I want, so I'll go ahead and grab that. And I'll paste that on in here. See if we get Comic Sans. We do. Doesn't that look way better? Don't you love websites that use Comic Sans? And we'll go back here. But seriously, folks, do you actually like Comic Sans, or what's your thoughts on that? We'll say font weight 800. One thing that you can do if you want to make font look a lot nicer is to give it a line height of 1.6 REMs. And this has to come back to like typesetting when you're talking about printed work. Is that just seems to be the 1.6 EMs or 1.7 EMs is usually what looks really good. So I just give it a little bit more space in between it, gives it more readability. Padding makes things look a lot better too, or in terms of readability. So I'll go here and give this excessive padding. We can go up to even 24 here. So things look a little bit less crowded, looks a little bit more friendly. And instead of calling this the original, I'm going to say the mission. I'm going to change this again. Payday bars are great. Payday bars are fattening. Can we make a healthy payday bar? And this is more of a list now, so I'm going to switch this to a list. Wondering how I'm able to like navigate so quickly with my keyboard? It's because I'm using Vim commands. Love to teach that in a boot camp, but notice I can go like to the front of a line, to the back of a line. I can go up 2 lines. I don't know. Vim is super, super fast. We'll refresh that. That looks a little bit different. I'll go down here and I will also include the LIs here. ULs normally have this awful margin padding on it. So I'll just go ahead and bring that down here. But yeah, my payday bars were a little bit different than the recipes online. So a lot of them used peanut butter with all the fat in it. And that's fine. But I ended up using peanut butter powder. I used like this stevia brown sugar, which made it a nice mix here. But I want to bring in that indentation here on the UL. So I'll just say margin left 16 pixels. We'll go back here and take a look. That's looking a little bit better. I'm going to put it actually at 24. We'll go here. And then I want to bring in that image. So I'll bring it down here. I might want to center that image. I'm not 100% sure yet. This looks a little bit okay. I kind of wish these were side by side. So what I'll do is I'll put this here and I'm just going to wrap this and say row. I'm going to say flex row. And then this way, I can treat this as a row. I'll go here. And we'll go into our CSS. I'm just dumping these anywhere. Flex row. And so we'll just say flex direction row. We'll say flex display as flex. And so now that should put them in a row. We'll go refresh that here. So that's a little bit better. I kind of want the image on the right-hand side. So I'll just bring this down like this. That's looking kind of okay to me. It's not the best, but it's okay. I kind of want to have my images to have rounded corners on them. So I'm going to do that and just say border radius 8 pixels. I just think it'll take the edge off them. Go here. So yeah, that's looking like something. At one time in the early 2000s, if you wanted to have rounded corners on websites, you literally had to create images of each of the corners. And it was the most complicated way. If you had rounded corners, you had like this super premium website. But now we just have a tribute to round things very easily. Anyway, so, we have this mission here. I'd like to have some spacing after my header at the top there. So I'll go to the top here to my heading. And I'm going to go and say margin. Helvetica is a great font. I guess it depends on who you talk to. But it is a bit overused these days. But it is a very good stable font. I think it's a good one. I remember that when I downloaded websites when I was a kid. Yeah, exactly. So, and that was cool when you used to save websites. But yeah, what's really interesting, again, I'm not really a huge fan of this company anymore, but I remember Basecamp. If anyone knows what Basecamp is, but this is a software made by 37 Signals. And I remember when it came out, it was a big deal in 2007. And the whole website was made out of tables. And I used to be really big into trying to do everything to like Web3 standards of making everything extremely accessible, extremely perfect. And then when I saw they made their whole website in tables, I just gave up and I just started to be more flexible with my stuff. But anyway, so we have this. This is looking pretty good. And it would be really good to have a table of contents here. And so I'll just go to the top here and put some anchors in. Another thing that we could have done is we could have made Markdown translate over to HTML because that's what it does. But I think it's okay that we didn't do that. So I'm going to go here and maybe we'll try the aside. I had that tag there before. Or no, I'm going to call this nav instead. And that's a proper tag. And we'll use this to navigate around our page. Okay. And I'm going to go here and just type in the mission. And so if I go to, where's our H2 here? Right here. So this should be those anchors. I think to do anchors is just name. So, oh, I actually put it on the wrong spot. So this should be on the outside. And then this should have a name. I really do miss these more personalized sites. I really like the idea of when we do boot camps, we try to build community or social stuff to try to connect better. The challenge though is that once the boot camp's over, like we get near the end of it, no one really invests that much time into the social part of it. But I'm trying to do better to better connect everybody and to build our own little technology network that is a great place to hang out. So we're starting to get that list there. I want to bump that stuff up. So I'm going to go here to our nav and I'm going to bring this down here. And I want to focus on those A tags. I want to bump that font up. So say font size 24 pixels. It'd probably be good if this was also a list. I'm going to make it an ordered list this time. The only difference here is that it is going to be numbered. So I'll go here and I'll put this in an LI. And I'll go save that. We'll make our way back here. And so now we're starting to get a number. So this will be kind of cool when we have this here. You'll be able to click to the appropriate area. But I do have a lot of steps in my my content here. Let's go take a look at the images and get an idea of what that is. So I'm making my way over to my downloads. Should have like a payday folder somewhere here. Not exactly sure where it is, but what I'll do is I'll go back here. You can see I have about 9 sections, 10 sections. Not too bad. So I know I can just repeat that 10 times. So what I'll do, I'm just going to enlarge this and we'll go over here and I'm going to grab 4 sections. Okay. I have a feeling we're going to have a flex row for each one. And we're going to have images for each one here as well. I'm just going to have something here. Now. And so we had a few steps here. The first was the actual bar. So we have the original model or the reference bar. Okay, so I'll go up here and we'll have this one. Where did it go? It's going all over the place. I'm trying to find that table of contents. Here it is. Okay, great. So we have our reference bar. A ref bar, so I don't have to spell the whole thing. The reference bar. The next thing would be the syrup. Caramel. There's like 5 ways to pronounce it. Caramel. It doesn't look right, but the caramel syrup. Syrup. Can't spell anything here, but I'll just put syrup for this one. It doesn't bother anyone with my spelling mistakes. We'll go to the next one here. So this will be the caramel syrup. And we have, so that's 3. Then it's the peanuts. It's not going to really take long for this page to come together. As you can see, it's quite the template. So we'll bring in this section next. Did anyone here ever use LimeWire or Kazaa or Kaza? I never got to use Napster. Like, I knew when it was around, but I don't think I ever downloaded or used it. One thing I really wanted to do was embed some audio into my website, but I never got around to doing that. But I think that would have been really fun. We got Peanuts layout, which is there. Then it's the dried materials. I don't know about you, but I used to download. They were called like anime music videos, so they're unofficial. They'd have like System of a Down or whatever was popular in the early 2000s, and they would take shows like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that and clip them into anime music videos. I love those. Which I don't know if people make those anymore, but I always thought those were really interesting. So we have the peanut section. That's the dried materials, which would be here. Then yeah, there's so we have peanut butter. It's ready. This should have been 5.5. 5.5. Okay, and then we have the reduction as next. I really do love cooking. It's something that is really fun to do. There's a I didn't make my page on it, but the other Terror Towns page I wanted made called Arcanum, which is a game designed by Tim Cook, I believe his name is, who also made Fallout. He used to put recipes in his video games, and people would always be looking for the recipes, which I thought was really interesting. Um, we have the reduction. Then we have final mix. And then we have other section here. We have the spreading, all that. And then the last one here, well, it's the spreading and the padding. We have chilling. And then the final bar. Okay, so I know that took a bit of time. And it's almost done. It'll just take a moment here to slot in the images. So the other part of it is that I need to make sure that I fill out. So I wrote class name here, but I actually meant to write name and then the name of the actual anchor. I think that's how anchors working for HTML anchors. I always forget, even though it's been 100 years of me doing this. Anchors. It's based on the name, I'm pretty sure. Jump to jump links, just the attribute to the anchor element gives the name of the section. So it's like pound like that, yeah. And it's jumping to the ID. I thought it always jumped to the name. Okay, well, it's not a big deal. If it's the name or ID, we can swap it around. But I'll go ahead here and we'll just say the mission. And then this one is ref bar. And then the next one here is gear up. And for those who are coming to office hours in the next Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to prepare some Terraform Jeopardy. I thought that'd be fun. So if anyone wants to come out and test the knowledge they have gained here in the boot camp, I'm sure we'll have a section just for Git. Does anyone have any suggestions for Jeopardy categories they'd like to see, or any interesting names that we could do that? I'd like to hear those suggestions. This will be final mix. Should have been spreading. Yeah. I thought I wrote all of them in here. Oh, maybe I wrote them in here. I just didn't make the headings. Okay. Here. And say the chilling. Git commands, what they do. Okay, excellent. Although 3 is a very good game. I never played the other one, the New Vegas. I hear that is a good one. Terraform commands, what they do, that would be a good one. I know Git commands. Yeah, it's tricky to think, but I'm sure I'll come up with some stuff. Markdown, documentation, that might be a good one. Best practices, things like that. Or like maybe troubleshooting issues that we might have had, Terraform Cloud, that might be good categories to have. Go here, so we have chilling. Whoops. Okay, so now I have all my categories. I'll go back here. And this is looking good, except there's some funny business going on here. And we also have some funny going on there. And the problem here is that I don't have closing tags. And notice that it's trying to do weird autocompletes. I just want to put these / in here. So that's sometimes where it's a disadvantage to have autocompletion. When I code, I don't have any because I don't want any weird side effects. As you can see, I'm having to do a lot of extra work to fix these missing ones here. But you learn that over time. We could have turned on Code Whisperer. That would have been fun to use that. I did use it at the last bootcamp near the end. So those are fixed. We have some weird things happening after the peanuts. So one must be inside of another one. So go down here to the peanuts. And this one's just missing its end section. Oh, yeah, AWS resources. That's a good idea because we did do AWS in this bootcamp. So that would be a good category. Doesn't copy and paste, copy and just paste autocomplete. I don't know. Like, normally when I code, I use Mac Vim and Vim. And in these boot camps, I use VS Code. But I'm not 100% sure on the behaviors for that. Again, I'm just used to typing everything out by hand manually. So we need some spacing in between here. Now, these are set in sections, and this is based on they're in the article in here, and this is actually set as it's not a display flex, but I'm going to go ahead and make this display flex. I'm going to give it a flex direction of column. The reason I want to do that is I can take advantage. I could put a margin on the bottom of these, but I'd rather give it a gap because then it won't leave that last margin on the bottom. And I can just do gap 24 pixels here, and now it should put a gap between these. There we go. Again, if you want to learn all these, you just go to this page. It's pretty straightforward. Like spacing, all this stuff here. This is a really, really good page. I really like it. But coming down below here, you're starting to see this. If I click to spreading, does it jump to spreading? No, it does not. Maybe it's because these need to be IDs instead. I've always forgotten what to do here, so I'll just go ahead and change these. And we'll just see what happens. We'll go back and refresh this. We'll take a look here and see if it jumps to the right place. Now it's jumping to the correct location. That's perfect. Now I just want my graphics in. That's very easy to do. We'll go down below here, and I just need to match these up. So for this one, number one, the reference bar, I have this one. I think I can just, I'm going to just list them out here. It'll be easier to copy and paste them. If I go here, and I'm just going to go ls payday, back up a layer here, type clear ls payday public public payday assets, and I'm just going to give it an L here. There we go. And so this way I can just copy these in directly. So I'll just grab all of them like this, and I'll go back over here, and I can just paste them on in here as like this. And this is a mess. I'm going to just delete out this part here. I think Tony made a post in the forums in terms of how to do that multi-select. It's really useful. I don't think I use that image, so I'll take that one out. And I'll just order this a little bit better. We'll take these two out because we've already used them. And so now we have our images. I'm going to go ahead and cut this here, and paste this here, and then I'm going to write en masse all of this stuff here. So we'll say image source / assets like this. And then I can go to the end here, all the way to the end. And we can say width equals 300 pixels. Whoops. 300 pixels. And then like that. So now we have all of our images. And so this first one here is the reference bar. So I want these here, even though it says 2, I actually want all of these in here like this. So I'll bring these ones in here. That is good. And then we will cut these and go to the next one. And I want to leave all the, I think the 3s in there. And then we have our peanuts, these two. And then we'll bring these into number 5, which is the reduction. Is that what that is? Peanuts and then reduction? There's like I'm missing a step here. The peanuts, oh, the dried material. So yeah, there's a section missing here. Dried, yes. And so now we're still doing okay for time. No, I said this is what we're going to do. I don't know if this is fun, but I don't know. I just wanted to get a page up and show some HTML, CSS skills and just see if anyone learns anything from it. And so we will grab these here and place that in here. And then this one will be here. We'll leave the reduction here. This is the final mixing, so that'll be the mix and spread in there. The spread is this part. Move that one in here. And then we have the chill. And then we have the final bar. Okay, let's see if our images show up. Fingers crossed. They are popping in. Notice that they're popping in here. So it is a bit annoying when they do pop in like that. What we can do to make sure that we don't have any weird pop-ins, because they're all square images. I'm going to go here and just say width 300 pixels, height 300 pixels. I'm going to also give it a background here. And I'm just going to set it as a gray. So I'm just going to go here, RGB, and we'll just make it a light gray. So 230, 230, 230. And so that idea is that they will then kind of already be in place. Yeah, now there's not popping. It's not going, well, it's popping in a bit, but it's not as bad as before. And so now we're starting to see our graphics. It's flowing off the page, which is not what we exactly want to happen here. So maybe it's not a great idea to have these as like as a row here, this flex row. Like we want these to be flex row. I think that's a good idea, but maybe the text doesn't need to be in a flex row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top here, and I'm going to go into Andrew's payday bootcamp bars for us and Terraform bootcamps. But by the way, the bars actually turned out really, really good. The only thing I wish I had was like a mold, so you can get like a candy bar mold, and so I could have got peanuts all the way around. And the only thing that didn't work out was the peanuts were too salted. So if I had done that, it would have been really good. I used peanut butter powder, which is people that are really into fitness, they understand the value of that. I added oats. No recipe called for oats, but I like adding oats in everything, so I milled my own oats into a powder. So that was added there. And then I use this brown sugar blend. So it's not exactly all stevia or sugar free, but it's extremely reduced. And the really trick was to use coconut cream, and it really turned out really, really good. I was so surprised. But Baco's going to find out because I have Baco. Baco's coming over today, and so he has to try my bar. Whether he wants to or not, he'll have to eat it. It was extremely high protein, but I wish I had done the macros or numbers on it. So I think that would have been very interesting. Yeah, tons of protein. So, but is it healthy? I'm sure it's healthier, but is it still healthy? And that's the question. And I don't know because it's really about looking at all those values and like, does coconut cream have sugar in it? I don't know. It wasn't sweetened, but it didn't say it was not sweetened. But we'll go here. And what I want to do is I want to just go ahead and move this tag there. That was the only one I need to move. The rest are probably already in there. And so we want this to, these are kind of large. I'm going to reduce the size a bit here. I'm going to make them 200 by 200. Okay. And the trick here is that we hard coded them for 300. So that's kind of causing us an issue. I'm going to go ahead and just replace that in the file. So go ahead and we'll say edit, replace in files, replace, find, replace, replace. It's with nothing. I want to do it for all of them. Replace all. There we go. We'll go ahead and save that file. We'll go back. Hey, whatever works, right? I'm not sure why that image is broken. It might just be I didn't remove the original one here. Yep. And I want to have some spacing on that. So we'll go ahead and we'll say gap wall pixels. It says Pay de Molik. Molku? De Molku? That French? That sounds French. Oh, it's Portuguese. Portuguese, of course. Pay de Molku? I feel like I'm saying it with a French accent. I don't know why. That looks good. It looks like it's a bit more, maybe more condensed. But yeah, it looks very, very similar. That's really interesting. I wonder if that's where it comes from. Sometimes that's the origin of things, eh? Quality assurance department say, well, if by quality assurance you mean my wife, she said these were too salty, the bars that we made, not these ones, but I guess the interesting would be like, what is the interior? So actually it's very similar. Look, it says melted brown sugar, molasses. So like, I guess the interior would be a little bit different, eh? Yeah, maybe closer to peanut brittle. But anyway, as you can see, I've made some really good progress with my page. And I just want to show some people how to make their pages more unique. I have a little bit more work to be done, so I'm going to have to get my descriptions in, bring these texts down. I have a few other pages that we're creating. I'm looking really forward to seeing what people come up with. I am leaving comments in the Terra Towns. You can be supportive of your other Terraformers by writing in the Terra Towns. Make sure that you get your project out of Miss and Go. It has to be in one of these other ones, and make sure it's in the appropriate one. If it's a Miss and Go, it's going to look like to me that you're not done. So make sure you change it out of Missing Go before you submit your final, and it goes into the right location. But we are all done here. We have office hours, or sorry, after class Q&A at 2:30 here, as per usual in the Discord. And we have office hours at 10 a.m. Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Thursdays. And it's mostly, we're just going to have a fun time. So if you want to come test your knowledge, that's something that we will go ahead and do. And we'll see you in the next one. I'm going to commit my work so I have it for later. But yeah, hopefully this was fun hanging out. But we'll see you here soon, okay? Ciao, ciao. This is Andrew Brown. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. Bootcamp. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. 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 Bootcamp. 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 I'm free. Bootcamp. 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 I'm free. Automate bootcamp. Automate bootcamp. Automate bootcamp. 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 Automate bootcamp. Automate bootcamp. Automate bootcamp. You are not missing out on the bootcamp. 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 I'm free. Bootcamp. 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 I'm free. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. 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 Bootcamp. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. Hey, this is Andrew Brown. Hey, this is